Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. I'm the host of the show, Neil Haley. You can go to my website, tolltutor.net, for more information. Twitter, tolltutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, tolltutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, Google+, and also on Periscope, @TotalTutor. I get excited when I'm in the TV studio. Kind of a strange day already. Interviewed Daniel Baldwin, from the famous Baldwin family, about a VH1 thing. You got to check out, go to @TotalTutor right now on Twitter, and you can just live tweet me out and see which live interview I have. But when I go in the studio, we tape. But I'm so excited that we do just have studio interviews, in-person guests, not just the phone, which I was doing for almost a year. But I'm excited to welcome my co-host again, Coach Karen Hall. Coach, how are you? WPI Hall of Famer. UNLV running Reb. I've learned so much about you in the last 6 months. She would not tell me anything about her when she was at St. Agnes. So she kept really the down low. I just had conversations with her, and she reached back out to me, and I'm so glad we're working together.
Neil, it's really good to be back here.
Yes.
It's great to be back in the studio.
Yes.
Our radio show has been wonderful, but today we have Bruce Atkins, Duquesne University legend, out of Wilkinsburg High School. So, Bruce, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me, Neil and Karen.
Good. Well, let's get right into it. So, basketball is what you picked up as a youngster. So, let's start right there. As a youngster, why basketball? How did you get started?
2 older siblings. Whatever they did, I did.
Okay.
So they did baseball, I did baseball. They
2
did
brothers.
Basketball, yeah. And a younger sister, but it was the older brothers. And that's how I got started.
Okay, so Ozanam basketball, how influential in your development when you began playing basketball?
Well, we're both products of Ozanam. So since we're talking about that, it would be kind of hard to talk about Ozanam without talking about you as well. We both came up through the program and traveled and got exposure, national exposure. The men didn't go as far as the women, but but it was a great exposure within the city and around the country. So that was a good start. And they also kind of made us commit to developing the kids from the neighborhood as well. So you had to make a commitment there as well.
Now, Bruce, talking about Wilkinsburg, the jungle, I don't know if they called it the jungle at Wilkinsburg, meaning the gym when we were rivals. About 10 years later, Sarah Catholic and Wilkinsburg was some of the top players in that time. So, or maybe, about 12, 13 years difference because I'm 43. So back in 90, 91, we had huge rivalry with Wilkinsburg High School, and the players that played on it called it the jungle. That gym was a very tough place to play. I wanted to ask a question. When you played the same thing, it was tough to win in Wilkinsburg High School, right?
It was. I actually went to Central Catholic my freshman year. So when they started us up the steps, I thought it was a setup. I thought they were going to try to attack us before the game. So I couldn't believe there was a gym on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
Oh, so you played at Central?
I played at Central my freshman year. Then I transferred to Wilkinsburg my sophomore year. And it was a tough place to play because you couldn't, underneath the basket was a wall. You couldn't carry out beyond the end zone. Then sideways, it was the fans.
Right.
So you really had to be precise on that court.
The Tigers were very, very tough at that time. How about when you played? I'm sure it was the same thing.
We were tough. We put 2 section titles and WPIAL appearances and state appearances.
Well, talk about some of the players that you played with at Wilkinsburg to allow you to get to that type of accomplishment.
Walt Boyer was a year behind me. He wound up playing in the NFL for 12 years. I went to Arizona State. And John Ryan was the guard. He went to Pitt. Played over there.
Yeah.
He came out with Walt Boyer. So, and then I can't leave out my coach. Coach Fleming. He's a Pittsburgh product. He played with Maurice Stokes in college. He went to Westinghouse. Was all-stater there, and he was the one that laid it down for me. He was a mentor for me. A very significant mentor for me.
And talking about Wilkinsburg, it was like a home game for me, being from Edgewood and at Sarah Catholic. So I would go to Sarah, and we were playing the JV games because the varsity, we didn't play them every year. I forget. I think first year, then we didn't play Wilkinsburg as much. But that was so fun. As a sophomore, I would go and play JV basketball. at Wilkinsburg and had my best games because it was like my hometown playing against Rob Connect. Rob ended up playing D3, I think, for Waynesburg and stuff like that. And Rob and I played basketball together on the playgrounds and stuff like that. So where were your playgrounds? What playgrounds did you like to play in, especially being in the same area growing up? I grew up in Edgewood. You grew up in Wilkinsburg. Where did you find it play out?
Pretty much everywhere. I mean, it's not like it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wide open. People respected you because you wanted to do something positive. And I'll never forget, I had a girl swing bike, and I would ride it everywhere. I used to ride it in Mellon Park. I used to ride it at Homewood. There was a gym behind the Y in Homewood. I used to ride it to the Hill District, to the games that we played up at Ozanam.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I took that swing bike with me everywhere. So there was really nowhere I couldn't go. If I could reach it by bike, I was there.
Wow. Okay.
So, the basketball, you were laying your foundation, but we're all big on academics. So, you're going through the prepster and you're making your name for yourself on the hardwood. What about in the classroom? What was happening in the classroom?
It was tough. It was tough. I came from Wilkinsburg, but again, my mentor, Fleming, he took away all my free periods. He made sure I was either in algebra or English.
Okay.
Good.
He used to come by the classrooms. And there was one time where a young lady was just kidding. She said, I do all his papers. And he thought that was for real. Took a lot of explaining to say, no, she's joking, she's kidding.
Right.
But that was the foundation for me to be able to succeed at Duquesne University. So.
Okay. So Fleming was such a mentor to you. At that time as a teenager, you were probably strong-headed, like, no, not class, I'm thinking basketball, especially your height, thinking you're going to end up playing in college. You had an idea, right?
I didn't.
You didn't about that, but
I
what
really,
about
I really didn't. He did.
Okay.
He did. He knew what was going on, and he prepared me for it. When people would come in and talk to me, he would monitor that.
That's great.
There was one time where my head got kind of big, my grades dropped. I was having success basketball-wise, and he embarrassed me so bad.
Oh my!
In front of the coach at that time in Western Kentucky. He said, "Oh, you don't want him. He's not going to make it. He's not going to graduate. He's not going to play for you." And I didn't expect it. He just embarrassed me. But turns out he was real good friends with the coach. But it really set me straight.
He probably told him in advance that he was going to kind of deflate the head a little.
I don't know, but he put a pin in my head. He did.
Yes. Well, high school, then there's college coming that you're not sure of. So where did you turn in terms of, like you just mentioned, you didn't really have college in your future, in your own mind. So what turned the tide for you? What then set you, well, maybe I know I'm good, but what was the difference?
You mean in terms of being in college?
No, in terms of you're in high school, and you just said you weren't really thinking about college, but your coach knew that was sort of in your future. So for you, at what point did you think, I think I can go to college and play basketball?
Right.
I mean, it was when the coaches started to come in and, see me. I mean, and they had people come to visit me, alumni.
Okay.
Mike Webster came from Wisconsin. I'm
my.
One of the Steelers, so I said, wow, I think this is really going to happen. This guy's serious.
Right.
So that was pretty much at that point.
Choices. What were your choices as a senior at Wilkinsburg as far as colleges, visits? Take us through that.
I narrowed it down. I went to Cincinnati. I was interested in Marquette, Tennessee. I was actually interested in Pitt. But that didn't work out.
Okay, a little hesitation there. You were 6'8", or you 6'8" at that time?
I was probably about 6'7".
Okay, so you're still big.
Actually, the coach at Pitt focused more on the City League players.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the roster back then, you'll see they have a lot of City League players.
Okay.
And we have mostly Whitfield players on our team.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's interesting, yeah.
I mean, that was his focus.
Okay.
Gergerich was the coach at that time. Mike Rice was my coach. And that's how it played out. It was really actually great for the competition because it was almost like the City League playing Whitfield.
And then the rivalry was tremendous in the Civic Arena. I know, Coach, I'm sorry to jump to that because now you're bringing back the time when I was a little boy, and I would go. I'd go. games, and it was so noisy in the Civic Arena. Sold out Pitt, the city game. And the chances of Pitt winning against Duquesne, it wasn't guaranteed. The Eastern 8 was up for grabs all the time.
Yes, it was.
And
yes,
so, and you never knew who would win. And my mom I grew up blue and gold the whole way. So even though I got my master's degree at Duquesne, I didn't become a Duquesne fan till a little bit later when I started just liking great basketball. Because I started, once Pitt left, just think of the Atlantic 10, how great it was. I would go to games at the Civic Arena, watch Temple, Rhode Island, all these different teams. But when you played, oh my gosh, it was so loud in there. Imagine, that city game must have been so crazy.
It was. You would think that it was mostly Pitt and Duquesne fans, but it really wasn't. It was people wanted to see Pitt and Duquesne. And at that time when I played, we split.
I remember that.
We won 4, we lost 4.
Right.
And it was truly a city game because most of your people were from Pittsburgh.
Right.
And the people that were on the court were from Pittsburgh, most of them. And it made for a great rivalry. I mean, you had Sam Clancy on your show, and he and I were kind of the centerpiece to that whole rivalry during that time. And people came to see that.
How massive was that to play against Sam? You and Sam in your prime, head-to-head collision. Give us some of that physicality.
I don't know if you could really write that story any better because, again, he was from the city. And he was a great player there. I was from the Whitfield, and I did my thing there. And the different tournaments he played in, there's the Akron tournament, there was the Sharon Hoyle tournament at the time, and then, of course, there was our tournament, the Dapper Dan Roundball Classic. Okay, so Sam was in the Roundball Classic. I watched him there. Him and Eugene Banks did their thing, and Eugene gave him the MVP, felt he was the MVP. Well, I come along, and I get the MVP. And any tournament he went to and did his thing, I did my thing there, and eclipsed whatever he did or equal what he did. So now here we come to college, and here comes the collision. It's kind of like big man against big man. Whitfield and City League. Sam is the upperclassman. I'm the new guy on the block. So I don't know what the whole rivalry is until I see the fans piling in. You come in, you're like maybe a half hour before, and you see it. But when we came out, it was massive.
And how many fans were yours? Section?
That was the only one I was concerned about. She sat up in row 6. That was Mama. She came to all the games. So it was just an awesome experience, and I never knew what it was until I sat there. I used to follow Pitt, really. I used to follow Pitt. Larry Harris. And I mean, watching him hit the final second shot at Pitt against Cincinnati. Cincinnati was ranked that year. I mean, I'm a city guy, and I know you're wearing your Pitt tie, but I follow Pitt. I follow Pitt, and of course we're all connected here. You coached at Duquesne, and that's how you and I connected.
So that's where Bruce, when we get back, we can maybe go into that because Coach Karen Hall never tells us about her connections or all these different things at all. So when we get back, more Bruce Atkins and Coach Karen Hall. You're watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I grew up in a sports family. From a very young age, I was exposed to sports in a great way. My uncle was on the first pro basketball team in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Ironmen. My cousins played baseball in the Army. I got to see them pitch at Fort Knox in Louisville, Kentucky. And my dad, of course, that was my hero. He was a basketball referee for over 30 years. Met a lot of great people. Have any of you ever heard of George Couples? He was a man who used to call our house and schedule my dad for City League basketball games. Just been a passion in my life, and as I got older I found out about horses, and I ended up owning a stable, and I was asked to be on a sports show with Roger Houston called the Meadows Racing Network. Watching Roger Houston direct and even produce this show, and when we were done I said, boy, that'd be something great. Maybe someday I could have a TV show. Back in 2011 I had a conversation with some friends about sports that piqued my interest in how could we start a sports talk show on TV? Well, I found out I could go to public access TV in Bethel Park and I'd be able to produce my own sports talk TV show. The great thing about doing 2 sports talk shows on BPTV is I can share my passion about sports with thousands of people every week. If you are passionate about something that you would like to share with the community, I encourage you to come to BPTV and produce a show like I do. I'm Al Levine, volunteer producer of Pittsburgh Sportsline on BP TV.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and I'm with Coach Karen Hall, and we're talking to Bruce Atkins. And I see the big idea I'd like to know a little bit about, and I'm just going to jump to a question, Karen, because we're trying to stick to questions. What about your career highlights at Duquesne?
That's right.
Like, tell us, kind of give us a snapshot of your career, because again, you got the opportunity to be drafted in the NBA, so you had a great college career. We don't think of lots of Duquesne big men going to the next level, or at least having the possibility. So you were all Eastern 8, a lot of different things. What were your accolades?
I was the Rookie of the Year, and I was first team at Eastern 8 my junior and senior year. So I averaged a double-double.
Okay, wow.
Before the double-doubles.
Before the double-doubles. And that's what I did at Duquesne. It was necessary.
Okay, yeah.
It was necessary, and I guess that's why they recruited me to go there. So, and I didn't do it myself. There were other people there.
Right.
Who were some of those teammates that you're speaking of?
Well, I'll start with B.B. Flannery. My freshman year, I watched him score back-to-back 40-plus games.
Wow.
At the West Virginia Classic. That was pretty phenomenal. He scored 41 one night, then the next night came back and scored 48. That was pretty awesome. Doug Arnold. Yes. He was amazing because he was 6'9". He could run like a guard, shoot like a guard, rebound, block shots. Right. I mean, he could do it all. John Moore, probably the best first step in the city, in the Eastern 8. He was amazing. His first step was amazing. We had Ricky Tunstall briefly, who he made us number 5 in the nation field goal percentage defense.
Oh, wow.
7-2 center. Unfortunately, we lost Doug and Ricky, and so that put me in the middle.
And Coach Rice was your coach at that time. And
he was.
He, around the country, was well known for the most part in those men's basketball coaching circles.
Right. Yeah, he had his own little reputation. He's a Duquesne alum, and the story that I heard before we went to St. Bonaventure was him playing against St. Bonaventure, and they had this big drum, and they were banging it, and the ball goes somewhat out of bounds. He chases after it. I don't know if this is true or not. This is the story I got, but he runs and he jabs his foot right through the drum. I don't know if that's true, but one thing I do know is he's very competitive. We played in the San Francisco tournament, and we came in second place. We all kind of felt like we got cheated. Right. We got a nice little trophy for second place, and we got into the locker room, and he just exploded. He took the trophy and splattered it and went into 15 different pieces.
Right. So you're playing, and now you're coming to the end of your collegiate career. What are you thinking? NBA, move into professional life? What are you thinking?
I wasn't really sure, to be honest with you. I never looked at sports like the next level or anything like that. For me, my mother, it was academics, and so when I got drafted, it was a bonus. I mean, it was great. I went and did my thing, and I didn't make it, but it was a great experience.
Who drafted you?
Philadelphia in the 4th round, and I went and I thought I had a pretty good chance. And they brought in Moses Malone, and that was that.
So did you get to, before you did make the team, did you get to go up against Moses? Like a bigger version of a Sam Clancy, maybe?
Well, a different version. Different version. Again, it was kind of hard to be a player and compete and not admire these people. You had Bobby Jones there. Yes. You had the Doctor was there. Andrew Toney was there. Yeah. I mean, Mo Cheeks was there. I mean, how do you not be a spectator at the same time?
So you get drafted at that time. Before that question, Duquesne, what was their? Did you guys ever rank in the top 20? No. But Eastern 8 close to winning it, right?
Yeah. We were regular season champs twice.
Right, yeah.
Played in the NIT twice.
Okay.
So we did a couple of things there while I was there.
So one step away, if you win the Eastern 8, you go to the NCAAs.
Right.
in the tournament, and who won it those years that you were regular season champs?
I think
West Virginia. Or?
I think Rutgers won one year. Maybe West Virginia. I think.
Yeah, I don't think Pitt did. I don't think Pitt won.
I'm not.
Pitt
Pitt was in the NIT with us.
Yeah.
It was strange because we did the split thing and we played in the NIT in the first round at the Civic Arena.
Civic Arena, I was at the game. Yeah.
I mean, how unusual was that? So we beat them, and we kind of had the 2-1 edge on them that year. But that was amazing.
That was probably one of the biggest city wins when you say winning in the NIT against Pitt.
That was amazing. I mean, just
Right.
the energy and for the people to pair us up. That was a good choice, and I know that's probably some consideration of how many fans will come or whatever. I just that was amazing.
The Civic Arena no longer stands, but obviously you have some memorable moments that we're hearing about right now will always be treasures of yours.
Yeah, there's a lot of good moments there. Beating Pitt, I mean, it was almost strange because it was our home court, but it really wasn't kind of a home court. Because you had the Penguins playing there, but I knew where all the dead spots were on the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I knew what angles to shoot.
Playing in a big arena like that compared to what the Duquesne plays now. I mean, that's such a great, awesome thing to be in that big arena to play
and to fill it.
Yeah,
to fill it is amazing. I mean, the place they have now, a lot smaller.
Right.
A lot more quaint.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a lot more quaint. But it's a lot different than the Civic Arena. It really is. I mean,
so do you follow Duquesne? Have you went there, graduated, have your master's there? Did you ever leave Duquesne?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I did for a period there when they started hiring Pitt people. Porter, Larry Harris, and but no, it really wasn't totally hinged on that. But it just, the program kind of went a different direction. They hired the coach from St. Bonaventure, and that kind of, kind of pushed a lot of people away. And I was one of them.
Really? Wow.
I was one of them. But it kind of picked up after a little while.
Right.
And now I'm back. I mean.
Good.
So I'm excited to be back. They gave me this.
Yeah, I just saw that. And
Very nice.
But let's go how you and Karen are connected after OSNAM. Because she, when you coached together, you said Duquesne.
Well, I was an assistant coach at Duquesne, and with Bruce's ties as a player at Duquesne, our paths sort of crossed, and we had in common, obviously, the O's and M, but we really had a chance to get to know one another, really talk about basketball in depth, and then life in general, and remain friends. And Bruce has a lot of history to himself, and just a really good guy. Always say, how do we want to be remembered? Obviously, as a very great player, but more importantly, a very good person, great character.
That was pretty smooth. How you moved away from you. That was really. I mean, for me, my connection with you is prior to that. It's just, it's kind of like belonging to a fraternity when you belong in sports, even across.
So when she was coaching, what was she coaching? She was
assistant women's basketball coach. Actually, my first coaching job. My very first college coaching job, and today it's really about Bruce. So I don't.
No, see, I'm shocked. Here's the thing, Bruce. This is how much Coach gives me prep time. I got a text message. You're coming in. It's ringing a bell. Now it's ringing a bell even more. That's how crazy my life's spinning around. So tell us about Duquesne now.
Well, Duquesne, I can't say a whole lot about it because I'm not supposed to.
I know that.
There's the official and unofficial side,
right.
and all I can say is that I am involved, and they have talent there, and the coach has opportunity with a new contract to bring that talent together, blend it together.
Yeah.
The potential is there.
Yes.
It's just they had some, and that's why I respect coaches so much. There's so many things they can run into. They had some academic issues, some failing the team rules issues that affects, and then now they have an injury that all these things affect how they play and the teams that they put out there. You can see sparks of greatness there.
Good.
So if they can get all
so
of those things together.
Are you just helping and consulting, or what is your role?
Consulting is a good word.
Consulting?
I like that.
You like that?
It's a good word.
But you never know if you decide to coach with them at some point, being involved in that? You don't know.
To be honest with you, it's kind of like the question you asked earlier, which is, did you know you were going to college? Did you know you were going to get that? I don't really go into it with the idea that it's going to happen. If it happens, great. You know, if not, I'll still go to the games and cheer. But I'm hoping it does happen. I'm hoping I can still contribute something, or feel like I can anyway.
Sports has remained an integral part of your life, even though with that, I didn't know it was going to happen, but it happened. So how excited are you that it has happened, that it's continued to be a part of your life?
It's good. I mean, even if that didn't happen, it still was. My son played football, and I got a chance to train him and do all of that fun stuff like that. But the key to it is, for me with coaching, and that's what I look for in coaches, is are you teaching them life skills?
Yes.
You know, are they using, are they able to, or are your kids going out there and we're reading about them in the paper and they're in jail, and you know, or are these kids learning something from the coach that's transferable to life?
Yes.
And that's what I look for. That's what I'm interested in.
What are you currently doing, Bruce?
I've been doing this for 24 years. I'm a supervisor at Schumann Juvenile Detention
Center. Okay.
So I deal with the worst of the worst, you know, of the kids in Western Pennsylvania. So.
But as you just mentioned, you now have a chance off to Hartwood to make a difference in the life of others through life skills, like really teaching them life skills, how to really get themselves back together first and then transition back into everyday living.
It is. I mean, with these kids, it's physical a lot, you know, and they look at your size and they're not sure if you've done anything, but when they hear about it, they respect that. They challenge you, and you meet that challenge, and it gains common ground with these kids. And that's the thing that I've used over the years, and then now that gives you, you know, an edge into opening the door and getting into making a connection with them.
Well, Bruce, thanks for coming by. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.
I like having close to my height in the chair. It's different for me. And Coach again. And guys, again, you can find info. Google Bruce Atkins. Find them all on Google somewhere. And go back to the history. But I like talking Eastern 8 basketball because I reminisce. I was younger. I guess I mentioned our age difference, about 13, 14 years. But when you were playing college basketball, I was in that audience watching you play, beating my Pitt Panthers at the NIT. I remember that game. Oh, I got tickets to the NIT. And that crowd was the loudest crowd of any basketball game I have ever witnessed, next to going to, I guess, Morgantown. That place is crazy playing in Morgantown.
It is.
And then I wish that the rivalries are still around more, West Virginia, Pitt, Duquesne in a way. And I hope Duquesne basketball comes back. And I think that they might have the right people in place now. All right, well, thanks again for watching the Neil Haley Show. You can go to my website, totaltutor.net, at Twitter, at Total Tutor on Twitter, Facebook. Website should be built soon with 2 different websites. So take care, guys, and I will see you next week with another exciting show. Thanks again, Coach, and take care, everyone.